Ooh, look at her. Glasses and a mic. She's really in her commentary bag today. Please. Hey, Corillo, I'm Nemesis. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. As per usual, before we get started, let's talk about the song of the moment. Yeah. Today's song goes out to one of my favorite Puerto Rican artists of the moment right now. That's Wife. And today's song is called Sí Pero No by Right Now featuring Randy. Randy Nota Loca. I cannot stop listening to this song. Right Now's whole vibe is like a new take on reggaeton, but she mixes genres in like the coolest freaking way possible, and their voices mesh beautifully together, and it's just such a good song. Everybody shut up, pause this video, go listen to it, and then come back and join me for the rest of the video. Okay, let's carry on. All right, you saw the title of today's video. You know what we about to do today. We're here to yap. Today's video will actually be very different from my usual content because this is episode 1 of my new series of 2025. Maybe it is that deep. In this series, we'll be able to talk about beauty topics, trends, drama, etc. that seems simple on the surface, but upon further inspection, maybe they are that deep. It's not that simple. Not everything is as it seems. Did I just quote Wizards of Waverly Place? Maybe. And on episode 1, we are starting with a banger. We're starting with a very big question. Is curly hair just a trend? This question popped into my head after noticing that there's been a slight decline of curly visibility online. Just a little bit. And I really think it's been influenced by the clean girl aesthetic, minimalism, and even the old money aesthetic making such a huge splash on TikTok. It was quite a big switch from like the natural beauty, self-love, body positivity, yada yada movements that were happening. It was like somebody pressed a button and then boom, everything was beige and uniform. I stopped seeing certain body types, certain hair textures, certain skin colors pushed as much as they were at a very specific point in time. So let's talk about it. For those of you who don't know, I entered the curly hair space on the internet back in 2019/2020. Like literally so many other influencers did. It was the middle of lockdown, and like so many others, I also lost my job and the will to keep existing. Once upon a time, I was a working actress, and with lockdown happening, I guess I just needed a creative outlet. And shout out to Mr. Nemesis, my boyfriend. He pushed me, encouraged me to just start posting on social media. I thought my niche was gonna be makeup and skincare because those were the topics that I was more knowledgeable of, but the numbers were not numbering until randomly I decided to start documenting my curly hair journey. I'm not saying that content blew up overnight, but it was the first time that people were actually interested in asking me questions and recommendations. Like it was starting a conversation on my page, and I had never had that before. And before I knew it, that's all that people wanted to see from me. Brands also started noticing, offering partnerships. Then the Sephora squad happened, which was so unexpected because I had just applied once and boom, they picked me. And I was like, what the fuck? And from being in one platform, which was YouTube, I am now suddenly in 3 whole platforms. It was all very strange to me, but with better hindsight, it makes sense. This was all happening because of the boom of curly hair in 2019 and 2020. This is not the one and only curly hair boom as we're gonna talk about later in the video, but it was one of the most recent. Why did it happen though? This is my personal theory. Let me know what you guys think. I think with people being stuck inside, not being able to go to the office or to just hang out with your friends or with a loved one, there wasn't really an incentive or motivation for the girls to straighten their hair or do their usual blowouts. So there was this sudden interest on how to make just their natural hair look presentable, even if it's just for their Zoom meetings or their Google Meets. I also think the exact same thing happened with skincare. People weren't doing a full glam because where the hell were they going? And also, if you were stepping out outside, you had to wear a mask. So who are you showing your full beat to? So people started focusing more on skincare. Listen, I'm pretty confident about this theory because that's exactly what led me to start learning how to take care of my waves and curls. So, I mean, it was divine timing because I feel like if I had started this same YouTube channel today, I don't know, I don't think anybody would have noticed. and this is not just from my perspective, so many other curly hair creators also saw the boost in views, in engagement, in requests for videos and product reviews, yada yada. And with that came also brands noticing, of course, they were gonna capitalize off of this freaking boom with their campaigns, with their launches, with their influencer marketing. I mean, you low-key couldn't really escape curly talk and curly content on Instagram. And for a moment, everybody was winning. Content creators were happy that their content was getting boosted. Brands were happy because they were able to capitalize off of it. And audiences were happy because they were finally learning how to take care of their waves and curls. But of course, this is the internet and not everything can stay wholesome and happy. With this boom of brand new curly and wavy hair content creators came the birth or the resurgence of the curl police, especially on TikTok. Okay, we're gonna have to take a slight tangent here because I cannot continue speaking about natural hair journeys and curly hair journeys without talking about who the hell started this whole thing. It was Black women. They started the natural hair movement. And I think a lot of us know that. But a lot of us seem to forget certain little details. Just like with the natural hair movement, Black women pioneered in so many other movements here in this country. Whether you're talking about LGBTQIA movements, body positivity, civil rights, etc., they were there and we owe them a lot. But for now, let's focus on the hair thing. From the Black is Beautiful movement in the 60s and 70s to the Afro as a political statement to the Jerry curl in the 80s, Black women have been fighting for natural hair acceptance and respect, honestly. But I know most of you are more familiar with the curly girl method. This arrived in the 2000s, but as opposed to the previous movements and curly trends that I mentioned before, the curly girl method was created by a white woman, Miss Lorraine Massey. She is the author of Curly Girl, the Handbook, first published in 2001 and followed by a second edition in 2011. Lorraine is a celebrated author indeed, but she is also a tiny bit of a controversial figure. I've heard people here and there talk about how a lot of the information and the methods that are in her book are essentially a result of her watching people of color style their hair and then her just remixing it and calling it her method. But I'm not really gonna get into those controversies because I honestly don't know much about it. And it's just gonna be like the third or fourth tangent of this video. All right, back to Curly Girl, the Handbook. This handbook was treated as the Bible for curly haired people. And many, many years later, the CGM, aka the Curly Girl method, was my entry point to the curly hair experience here on the internet. In 2020, I obviously don't abide by the CGM anymore, but you can't deny its influence. Something that was published in 2001, then republished in 2011, still had that much weight on like the mainstream curly hair community all the way in 2020. Like, that's kind of crazy. But as I mentioned, I personally don't abide by the curly girl method, and many, 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 many other curly people also quit the CGM. Listen, more and more of her tips and methods and rules kept getting debunked by other hair professionals and hairstylists and even users of the method itself. But of course, that doesn't mean that there isn't any valuable information in the book. And honestly, the existence of the book may have inspired a whole community of curly haired people to start conversations online through blogs or forums or chats. Natural hair and curly hair enthusiasts were getting together, you know, they were chatting, they were spilling tea, they were sharing tips. It's all good. And with this new online presence in rising social media platforms, the natural hair influencer was born. Two very notable OG natural hair influencers were Whitney White, who is now the founder of Melanin Hair Care, and Rochelle Graham Campbell, the CEO of Alley K Naturals. And as you can see, these were both Black women, once again, pioneering a movement online. Fast forward to the 2010s, the natural hair movement kept evolving and growing. With this, more and more Black women were empowered to learn how to actually take care of their curls and coils, learn how to do protective styles on themselves in lieu of relaxing or perming their hair. And this led to the introduction of the Crown Act in 2019. Let me repeat that. 2019. That is so freaking recent, bro. For those of you who don't know, the Crown Act stands for Creating a Respectful and Open World for Natural Hair. And it was created to ensure protection against discrimination based on race-based hairstyles by extending statutory protection to hair texture and protective styles such as braids, locks, twists, and knots in the workplace and public schools. This was was passed into law in California in 2019. Other states started following suit. And then in 2022, it was blocked by Senate Republicans. But still, it was enacted in 23 states. Thank God, Jesus. Still, though, that is very insane that it hasn't passed in a federal level. Anyways, listen, I know you might think this is a very crazy tangent that I'm taking right now, but I felt the need to present this entire timeline to paint you a very clear picture. Now, knowing all of that, would you still think that hair is just hair? It's not a big deal. Girl. Okay, now let's talk about the curl police. If you've never heard of this term, it became more popularized in the TikTok world, of course. And it's usually referred to people that comment under people's posts, criticizing their curly hair routine, criticizing their curly hair texture, their curly hair pattern, and you can even say gatekeeping curly hair. Listen, it's a very complicated group of people because you can't put them all in the same category. I feel like the curly police is comprised of, first, a group of trolls. There's just people that like to troll, okay? They crave attention. They crave a fight. They're not able to do it in real life, so where are they gonna do it? On the internet, period. I think the second group would be like CGM fanatics. People that still very much abide to the very strict rules of never straightening your curls, not using silicones, not using sulfates. I guess I could call them curly purists. Let's call them that. But there is another group of people, and I wouldn't call them part of the curl police, even though other people would. And these are Black women and other people that have very tight, curly, and coily hair. I know it feels like I'm treading on dangerous territory, but just hear me out. I promise I have a point. I think there is a difference in the comments from the curl police stating things like, you're forcing your curls, or waves are not curls, or oh, you probably permed your hair. And comments from Black and brown women with curly hair textures that have been demonized for decades, commenting things like, girl, you know you have it easy, right? Like, why are you complaining? I see those two cases so differently. Like, I can't categorize the second as part of the curl police because they're not commenting to piss me off or to gatekeep. They're bringing up a valid point. As I've already established, hair is not just hair to many people. Hair is political. Hair tells a story. Hair is sometimes even tied very directly to people's identities and personalities. And for someone like that to then see someone, let's say like me, with this specific curl pattern who has never faced any adversity or discrimination because of my hair type, complaining about not finding the right products and saying, oh my God, it's so hard to maintain my curls. I mean, obviously it's gonna spark a reaction of like, girl, shut up. Like, yeah, it might be a little bit annoying as a wavy haired person to find the right product combination for my waves and my curls to look exactly how I want them to and for them to last. I mean, literally that's exactly why I started posting about wavy and curly hair. But our struggle as people with a loose curl pattern is never going to compare to the struggle that Black women and other people with tighter curl patterns have faced throughout history and are still facing today. This is a very nuanced topic, and I know I won't be able to fit all of the details and all of the perspectives in this section of the video, but I needed to include it because it's a huge part of the curly hair conversation online that sometimes gets dismissed. Okay, so where are we now? Let's talk about it. There is possibly an unlimited amount of curly hair influencers, not just nationally, but globally. Since the 2000s, education about curly hair has spread like wildfire. And I love to see it. I love that that happened. Absolutely. For so long, I feel like the main type of like hair influencer was girls with straight hair just basically showing you how they blow out their hair or how they do their hair rollers or how they use their Dyson Supersonic or whatever the fuck. But now we're here and we exist, and there's so much education on how to take care of curls and coils and waves, and that's beautiful. We even have stuff like CurlyCon LA, which, oh my God, I would freaking love to go. Why is LA so damn far? But this is like a convention where curly hair enthusiasts gather and they get to meet each other and meet brands and speak in panels and blah, blah. It sounds so fun and I wish I could be there. Anyways, something has been brewing. There's a bit of a switch going on. I briefly mentioned it at the intro of this video. Let's dive into it now. There's a certain urge to bring back traditional beauty standards front and center. And I don't know about you, but I believe the first signs of it were when the clean girl aesthetic popped up out of nowhere. You know how like industry plants are a thing? I feel like that movement was created like the same way an industry plant is. I don't know who the hell started it and made it so popular. I know that two of the most famous like clean girl aesthetic girls were Sophia Rishi and Hailey Bieber. But damn, when I tell you that took over in a way that I could not have predicted. I believe it started in 2021, correct me if I'm wrong. And it's just so funny and so weird because the most recent curly hair boom was 2019 to 2020. And then in 2021, it was like smacked. No, clean girl aesthetic now. That's weird.
That's suspicious.
Am I looking too much into it? Am I reaching? Do I have a tinfoil hat on right now? I don't know, maybe. Okay, but back to the clean girl aesthetic. If you're not familiar with it, which if you're not, wow, aren't you freaking lucky? Still, I gotta tell you what the main characteristics were, or are actually. Clean girls have clear skin and only wear minimal natural makeup. They only wear slicked back hairstyles or simple straight hairstyles. You'll always catch them wearing neutral colored clothing, and they always seem to have a big focus on wellness, but it's a very specific type of wellness. It's a Pilates and green juice and probiotic supplements type of wellness. I don't know. Everything just has to be so curated and effortless looking. You can't be seen trying too hard. Like, yeah, you're supposed to do Pilates, but you're already supposed to have the Pilates body. Whatever the fuck that means. In other words, the clean girl is skinny, has clear skin, straight hair, and beige clothing. That's the oversimplification of it. And there is obviously nothing wrong with these characteristics. They seem very normal. But the problem arose when these key characteristics started being pushed as the only way to be. They were pushed as the more socially acceptable way of being and existing on the internet and in real life. Do you see how that's a little weird and problematic? With these characteristics, you were idolized. You were considered to be that girl. And who doesn't want to be that girl? In fact, this clean girl aesthetic has expanded way beyond fashion and beauty. It's made its way into home decor, lifestyle choices, and just overall aesthetics. It's not just about the skincare and the hair and the clothing. It's a whole lifestyle. And TBH, girl, it's giving uniform. And if you went to a school with mandatory uniforms, or even if you work in a corporate setting, what happens with people that don't adhere to uniforms? They're ostracized. They are othered. You're no longer in the club. We're not all fam, you know? Damn, that was so corny. I'm so sorry. I'm keeping that in. And honestly, I kind of think that's exactly what's happening right now with curly and textured hair all over again. I wouldn't go as far as to say that now the overall consensus is that if you have curly hair, you're not cool anymore. But it feels like after all that progress that was made in the 2010s and in the 2018, 2019, and 2020 boom of curly hair and curly hair education spreading like wildfire and curly hair acceptance and curly hair celebration, we are now regressing into,
actually, you look better with straight hair.
And
you should straighten your hair more often. You look so beautiful.
Type shit. It's giving that scene in The Princess Diaries.
Majesty, Polo is exhausted because Majesty, only Polo, can take this and give you
A princess. Better. Much better.
It's giving that. I don't like it. This regression of the 90s and 2000s beauty standard, plus the rise of uniform and the lack of color and individuality, can 100% be tied to the Western world's political climate. Girl, shit is getting weird. Shit is getting weirder by the second. This video is already too long, so I can't get too much into that, but at least I covered how it's kind of infiltrating its way into the curly hair world of the internet. And ain't that some shit? Okay, so where do we go from here? That's entirely up to you, sister. When this beehive mentality seems to be taking over social media and the real world, you holding on to your identity and to what you think is beautiful is so important. Listen, individuality when taken to extremes can be very damaging because we live in a society. We are human beings and we need each other, and we are all responsible for each other in this world. But it doesn't mean that we all have to act the same and look the same as each other. So what if now all that you're seeing on Pinterest and TikTok and Instagram is clean girls with straight hair? Fuck that. If you love your curls, please keep wearing your curls out. Keep learning of ways to style your curls and embrace them. They are part of what makes you you. I know I'm sticking to my own shit. Yes, I like straightening my hair and rocking a little clean girl look every once in a while, but it doesn't mean that now I have to conform to it and that every time that I'm not wearing that little costume, I'm not gonna feel beautiful. And I'll continue posting wavy curly hair content as long as you guys allow me to, as long as you guys still find it helpful. I'll continue to do my part. And I know for me, I also do it from a place of being Latina. Like, girl, I couldn't even get into the texturism and all the fucking curly hair discrimination that happens in Latin America, and how it's honestly still the beauty standard in Latin America to always have your hair as straight as possible. I can't even get into that right now. It's too damn much. But I know that I like occupying space with my hair content and with my hair type because it's freaking needed. El alisado, el rolo, y los blowers have a fucking chokehold on the Latin community. So as long as I am able to, I'm gonna continue advocating for more curly and coily Latinas to take up space and love themselves and break those generational curses, okay? But also, I think it's just very sad that something as natural and normal as textured hair is considered a freaking trend. Like, this is not like a lipstick shade or like an eyeshadow look. What the fuck? It's something that grows straight out of our scalps. Like, what do you mean it's a trend? That's crazy. But then again, that's exactly how society treats women's bodies, so I shouldn't be surprised. Okay, my mic is about to die. I need to stop yapping. Please let me know your thoughts below. What do you think about everything that I spoke about? Do you think I'm reaching? Do you agree? Disagree? Tell me what's tea. Also, let me know if there are any other topics that you want me to cover in this brand new series. I'm so excited to keep doing it. If you want to keep up with me between uploads, please feel free to follow me on Instagram at NemesisMarie06 and on TikTok at NemesisMarie_06. But most importantly, girly pop! Have an amazing rest of your day, okay? Bye!